Forget all the troubles and blues. Dive into the blue. Oh yes, talk to the fish.
Hello, and welcome to Talk to the Fish, the only show where we transform your diving challenges into underwater victories. I'm your host, Jack, and yes, I'm a clownfish, but don't let my stripes fool you. I take diving seriously, most of the time. Today, we're joined by Regis, a dive instructor who was actually kicked out of the choir because he couldn't stop gaping his mouth and gulping for air during every solo. Welcome, Regis.
Thanks, Jack. Great to be here with the fish, who once tried to teach navigation by following a GPS stuck in reverse.
That one still stings. Speaking of getting lost, we've received a fascinating question from our viewer, Coral Comic, who asks how to keep track of just how much we're really gulping down. Or, as I like to call it, the mysterious art of realizing that some divers breathe like they are running a marathon while eating chips.
Ah yes, the famous surface air consumption rate, the SAC. The mathematical formula that makes divers flee faster than fish at feeding time.
Or when we start to speak about dive tables, let's decode this mystery. What is the SAC rate?
It's simply how much air you consume per minute when you're at the surface.
Okay, simple enough. But as a diver, why should you give a fin flip about it?
Think of it as your underwater fuel efficiency. Just like knowing how many miles your car gets per gallon helps you plan a road trip, your SAC rate tells you how much air you're sipping every minute.
But we are divers, not a second-hand Fiat Punto.
Multiply your SAC by the pressure at depth to see how much air you are guzzling per minute. Work on improving it and watch your progress as your rate gets better.
Some viewers' eyes are glazing over faster than a dolphin chasing sardines. Go practical.
Okay, let's measure your air consumption right in a living room. I call it the Couch Potato SAC Test.
Because who said you need to get wet to learn something fishy?
All you need is your tank, regulator, pressure gauge, a timer, and just like checking your car's fuel gauge before this road trip, you'll start by noting down your full tank pressure.
Which reminds me, always write it down unless you have a memory of an octopus.
Then simply breathe through your regulator for about 10 minutes, keeping track of your starting and ending pressure. This is like driving your car for a certain distance to see how much gas you use.
And don't go all Zen master or start hyperventilating, folks. Just breathe like you're casually scrolling through my Instagram during your morning coffee.
And here comes the genius part. Subtract those numbers and divide by time. And it's done.
Though I must confess, the first time I tried this, I spent so long doing the math that my tank ran empty.
Too bad, because the beauty is in its simplicity.
An example?
Let's do an example. You start with a 12-liter tank filled at 200 bars. After 10 minutes, you're down to 190 bars. How much air did you consume?
10 bars, right?
Exactly, and 10 bars of air from a 12-liter tank equals how many liters?
I'm not sure. Man, I feel like I'm back in school, sweating over math problems.
It's simple. You multiply 10 bars by 12 liters, which gives you 120 liters, so in 10 minutes, you consume the 120 liters of air, that's 12 liters per minute.
Got it.
Your goal when diving is to have a surface air consumption rate close to this figure. You can calculate it by using the average depth of your dive. Keep practicing, and you'll see your SAC improve over time.
Divers underwater, we have more exciting things to think about, like avoiding grumpy moray eels. But this test gives you a solid starting point for understanding your air consumption. It's like knowing your car's highway mileage before tackling those mountain roads. An example?
Let's do an example. Imagine now, we're diving at 20 meters with a tank of 12 liters.
Oh yeah, let's see this trumpet fish playing all day long.
You use 50 bars in 10 minutes. Now, how many liters is that?
I feel again like a fish out of water with math, but I'm guessing it's 50 per 12, 600 liters?
So you consumed 600 liters in 10 minutes. How much is that per minute?
Let me do my fishy calculations. 600 divided by 10. That's 60 liters per minute.
Perfect. Now, since we are at an average of 20 meters, we need to consider the pressure at that depth. The average pressure of this dive was 3 bars. So we divide the 60 liters per minute by 3 bars. What do you get?
20 liters per minute. That's my SAC rate.
Yes, exactly. Your surface air consumption is 20 liters per minute. Keep practicing and you'll see that number get better over time. See? It wasn't rocket science, right? Piece of cake.
Honestly, I'd still rather have a piece of cake than do math. At least with cake, my taste buds get a workout, not my brain. Regis, before you dart back to your reef, what's your final thought about SAC rates?
Understanding your SAC transforms average divers into exceptional ones, except when they forget their calculator and pen.
And that concludes our show for today. I must admit, between all these numbers and calculations, my fins turned into jelly. Who would have thought a clownfish could sweat underwater? Next week, we'll tackle an electrifying topic: why moray eels make terrible electricians. Spoiler alert, they keep shocking their customers. Until next time, keep counting those breaths, unless mathematics makes you hyperventilate. See you soon.
Forget all the troubles and blues. Dive into the blue. Oh yes, talk to the fish.